Time has been broken and only one person can stop it. Nila, the Time Walker. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I bring you trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites so that I can read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. In the universe of Valiant, there is a chronological protection in place that prevents individuals from altering major events in history. Ivar, the Time Walker, traveled to visit Nila Sethi the moment she would invent a way to break the chronological protection, but a villain known as the Mistress sent her Prometheans in to get her hands on Nila to invent the device that will break it. The device was called the Null Generator, and Ivar ultimately failed in his goal. Nila ended up making it, and the Mistress won. The chronological protection was broken, and in the final conflict, Ivar and the Mistress got into an altercation, and both died. Nila then made her escape with time itself broken and Ivar dead. The videos explaining this are linked down below. In ancient Mesopotamia, Armstrong tells his brother Ivar that he can't do this. Galad would not have wanted this. He was the most noble of the three of them. And looking down at the body of his brother Galad, Ivar tells Armstrong, "Look where that got him." Ivar has Armstrong held back and he walks out to a cheering crowd and a mysterious device behind him. "People of Ur, your heroes, the Anipata brothers, have returned from the far away, and we've brought back its boon. Must eternal life be for the gods alone?" Armstrong hits the guards and he runs at Ivar to stop him, and Ivar puts his hand on the boon. Too late, brother. But before he can actually activate it, a time arc opens behind him, and Nila steps out, grabbing Ivar and pulling him through. Ivar is terrified. What's going on? She hits him with a Zelig chip and explains that she is Nila, the Time Walker. She explains that she went back to the early years of Ivar's life to pull him back into the time stream because she needs his super brain to make sense of the Tachyon Compass readings. Ever since the chronological protection has been done away with, the time arcs have multiplied immensely, and there is no protection from the alternate histories crossing over. Not only can individuals time hop now and break the history of various timelines, but there are all kinds of new possibilities merging together. Things like clown Vikings, cardboard cities, and Pilgrim vs. Indian lacrosse games. She explains that the Prometheans are also closing all of these realities by destroying them each at the source. The only thing that has protected Nila is her gun, which fires time bubbles, keeping her outside of the changing realities. The whole thing is a very long explanation of how time travel works, but Ivar, even in this early point of his life, is following along perfectly fine. "Can you at least pretend to be confused by all of this?" Nila asks him. "Why? You're making perfect sense." The one question he does have is why she wants to fix it, because only a person who caused this would be hell-bent on fixing a situation. He should know, he just caused the death of his brother Galad and was about to rectify it when she stopped him. Nila tells him that both of his brothers are alive and that he is in a not so terrible relationship with them. He asks where they are, so she explained that they were slowing her down, so she ditched them. Ivar then puts it together. "So you're with the older me that knew all of these things only to go back in time to get the younger me in order to re-explain it to me? Why? It's better if you didn't know, Ivar." "Well, you did the right thing alerting me to this crisis. Maybe saving the universe will help me justify my freedom." "Freedom?" Nila asks him, but he ignores it and he begins his calculations. After Ivar explains that war is not a woman's place due to him being from ancient Samaria, and they do things a lot differently back then, Nila walks off to be captured by giant rat creatures. Ivar saved her, declaring that she will be one of his wives, and Nila started to cry because this time travel crap never seems to work. Then they're both hit to the ground and captured by dinosaur Romans riding on top of other dinosaurs. Nila is wearing the armor of the Mistress, so the Roman dinosaurs decide that she must be the Mistress, and they bring her to speak to Caesar, while Ivar is thrown in with other mammals to battle in the arena. It's there that he makes friends with another dinosaur called Ankh, who is also a combatant in the arena. Things get even more interesting as Ivar and Ankh need to battle a giant ape in the arena, while Nila is the honored guest of the Caesar. But eventually, the Mistress, the very same that's supposed to be dead, arrives, and Nila makes a break for it, trying to free Ivar, because she knows this timeline. A meteor is about to hit the planet, killing all life within it. Ankh and Ivar are out in the arena, so Nila runs out there just as the meteor is getting closer, and boom! The meteor hits the side of the planet hard. But just as it was about to kill them, Nila was firing time bubbles out in the arena randomly, hoping to hit Ivar, and she did. She removed them both from the timeline. They now stand in the middle of nothing, with every possible timeline around them. They see ones where they got married, ones where Nila's parents were happy, and ones where they were mermaids. They see everything. And it is here that they watch the timelines closing as the Null Generator is closing each possible pathway, closing everything and ending all life in the universe. To make matters worse, Nila has no idea how to get them back into a timeline. Ivar calls out to the Seven Sages to pay for his crimes, asking them to come and get him now. And Nila asks him what he's talking about, so he explains that the Seven Sages have been chasing him ever since he stole the boon, but perhaps even they can't reach him here. Nila looks at him and tells him that she understands all of those words, but just not in that sentence, just like old times. Then, she takes Ivar in close, and she kisses him. With the universe ending around them and no answers, they decide to have one passionate time together finally. When they are done, Nila puts her armor back on and explains. She knows one possible answer. Since she saw the mistress again, that means that her timeline is the one fixed point one. The one where she went back in time and got herself to make the null generator. She tells Ivar that she's sorry, she loves him, but not this him, the man that he becomes. So she asks him not to tell her younger self about any of this. Ivar promises and Nila slaps them both in separate bubbles. She then tells him, I'm sorry, Ivar. I'm gonna stop this bitch once and for all. And then she shoots herself in the head. Ivar hits the ground in tears. No! But it didn't even stop the null generator. Realities keep vanishing, and when Ivar finally feels like he's all alone, a time arc finally opens. One that wasn't there before. He steps through it to find Ankh, his dinosaur friend. All of Nila's random time bubbles saved Ankh as well. Ivar walks through and looks at the compass. While she didn't stop the end of the universe, her sacrifice did open a path unavailable to them before. So it's time for Ivar to get back to work. After many time jumps later, Ivar and Ankh end at the start of all time, where the null generator is being kept. In another place in time, the 7 sages that Ivar spoke of are watching and allowing him to go on this path, because if he doesn't, all time will be lost. And in yet another time and place, Nila wakes up with the Prometheans looking at her overjoyed that they were able to save her. They have reassembled her face, and while she has almost none of her memories of the events that just transpired, the Prometheans are nice enough to let her know that it was Ivar's fault that she is like this, and she needs to embrace her destiny as the mistress. Ivar and Ankh go through the portal at the null generator and they end up in Oblivion 2, the new base of operations for the mistress, and she is there waiting for him. Ivar opens fire on her, telling her that he will not suffer her existence while she wears the face of the woman he loves, and she informs him that it's really her. She was reconstructed. Ankh runs over trying to stop the mistress, but she flips Ankh over, telling him that he's a dead man. And Ankh informs mistress that she's actually a woman. The mistress pauses. Really? Ivar walks over trying to reason with the mistress and tell her that he didn't do anything. There's no reason to fight, and she blasts him with her eye beams. Ankh runs over and smashes the mistress with her tail, and she looks at Ivar. Your choice of female companions have vastly improved since I came on board, Ivar. You're female? Don't you start. But they haven't won yet. An army of mistresses come running after Ivar, declaring nothing is forever. They run for the room full of time arcs, and Ivar tells Ankh to get the Prometheans while he handles all of these Nilas. But before Ankh can go anywhere, another Nila comes running out of another time arc, telling Ankh that she is the real Nila. She turns on a hologram to show that she is different, showing her original face before the gunshot wound. She then explains that they tried to rebuild her and make her hate Ivar, but it didn't work. So they cloned her and gave them memories of the timelines where she would hate Ivar to the clones. While this is going on, Ivar is killing off all of the clone mistresses, riding high-speed hovercrafts and leaping through time arcs with them chasing him. Nila explains to Ankh that Oblivion 2 is the remote command center for the Terminus squads, and from this spot they can undo the null generator's destruction of the diverging timelines. But they'll need Ivar. She steps through a time arc, blasting one of her clones, telling Ivar, hello, handsome. Nila, I love you, Ivar exclaims. The whole goddamn multiverse can't keep me away from you. The two of them kiss before heading back into Oblivion 2. But once they get there, Nila explains the end game of all of this. There's only one timeline remaining. The one where Ivar's future self comes and gets younger Nila. Then he dies and she goes back in time to get younger Ivar. They are from different parts of both of their lives and in love with a different version of each other. They can never be together. Ivar sadly tells her, you're my future, and I'm only your past. They take each other's hands and Ankh cries for them. That is really sad! Nila explains that if Ivar leaves now and prepares to come and get her, time will be fixed and moving properly. But if they stay together right here, right now, the universe will end, because time will never be correct. Ivar walks towards the time arc telling Nila, we'll remember what we were, what we could have been. And as he vanishes forever from her life, Nila cries telling Ankh, time travel sucks. Ivar lands in the year 4001 AD, where he walks towards a bar just as a younger Nila from earlier in our story walks out. His older self chases after her and he tells himself, looking good. He walks inside, hearing Nila ask if meeting herself will break time, and then he sits at the bar asking for a big bottle of beer. Behind him, the 7 sages walk up to him telling him, it's time. He tells them that this isn't the end. He'll escape, and then he'll go back to the beginning to try and save her from herself, from destiny. They told him, of course, it's his nature to hope against the hopeless. It's what makes him dangerous, and that's why they forever condemn him to walk through the membrane of time. He turns around with tears in his eyes. Shut up and take me to jail. Meanwhile, back in the year 2015, Unity is fighting against a monster when there's an explosion and a time arc appears in front of them. Nila walks out with Ankh and tells them, here's the deal, heroes. Come with us if you want to save history. Armstrong is stunned. Nila? How long has it been since I last saw you? You time travelers are weird, and the fact that you're with a dinosaur kind of tells me you've been around. Nila tells Armstrong to meet her sidekick, and Ankh tells her, really? What else do I call you? How about your companion? God, no. What? Why not? While Nila and Ankh are debating what to call Ankh, off in the distance, another time arc has opened, and out steps a man in a proper suit. He looks down on them, and then he steps back into the time arc. The adventure is only just beginning. Like I said at the beginning of this trilogy, Ivar the Time Walker was one of my favorite series of last year. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and if you want to chat about this comic or any others, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, on Instagram at Comicstorian, and don't forget to follow our gaming channel where you can find me right now talking about video game comic books or video game unnecessary censorship or Let's Plays. It's called Eligible Monster, and the link is down below. I'll see you guys next time right here.